2, 1.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of Full Press Radio. This is February the 14th, 2022. With you today is myself, Carl, and Stevie Nick.
With a whole bunch of news to talk about today.
Like, how are two married gentlemen spending Valentine's Day evening with each other instead of their wives?
That's a really good point. I didn't even ask you if you wanted to move the recording date, if you had something special planned.
I didn't ask you either. It literally never crossed my mind. Because I mean, we don't do Valentine's Day, me and my wife.
Us
and
either.
it didn't cross my mind until about 10 minutes before we sat down. I was like, shoot, I hope Nick's wife's all right with this.
Oh, yeah. It's fine. I think it was like 6:30 p.m. tonight. I turned her and I was like, I didn't get you flowers today.
I think the first year we were married, I might have gone like chocolates and a card or something like that. And that is the only time we have ever done anything for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I set the expectations early. Like our first year together, I was like, look, I don't do this holiday. And she's like, okay, that's fine. I don't care. And then I did chocolates and flowers that year. And then after that, it was gone.
Well, that's because it's a garbage holiday. And you're a good, I mean, even back then, right? I don't need one day to let my wife know I love her. Do it every day.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So why would I spend that? And plus, she's allergic to flowers, so that gets me off the hook there.
Plus, there's a lot going on around Valentine's Day this year. Like the Olympics are happening. The Super Bowl was last night.
Right? It does seem, I mean, this is the latest we've ever had, the closest the Super Bowl's ever been to Valentine's Day. And it does seem weird to go from Super Bowl to Valentine's Day the next day. I'm not emotionally there to go from feeding myself a ton of food yesterday. I've still got a food baby. I can't be romantic.
Still got to work in a nap.
Right? Like, I had, look, there is nothing less romantic than me microwaving leftover chili from yesterday for dinner. So I think the ship has sailed on Valentine's Day, and let's pick this up on Tuesday.
Be better next year, NFL. Be better.
If you could bump that back a little bit, that'd be great.
Did you watch the Super Bowl yesterday?
I did. Yeah. I mean, it was a good game. I didn't really have a horse in the race. I was going for the Rams, but mostly I just wanted a close game, and we got that. It was good.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. I mean, Detroit Twitter last night was awesome. Hilarious. The level of emotion that Lions fans had for Matt Stafford winning.
So they were
thrilled for him. Yeah. Just so happy.
That's good.
People were literally like, I don't know how to express my emotions right now for Matthew Stafford. He deserves this.
Absolutely, he did. I mean, he would, and he played an okay game. He wasn't great, but he was good enough, obviously.
Yeah. And, you know, like I'm not shy about this. Like I'm not a huge football fan. So I was tuned in for the halftime show, and that was one of the better halftime shows that I've seen in all my years of watching the Super Bowl.
It wasn't the best. I still say that Aerosmith, Britney Spears, NSYNC, and Nelly was the best halftime show ever.
Come on.
You don't think so? That one was amazing.
It was pretty good. Was that one pre Justin and Janet?
Yes, that was when the whole band was there before Justin had shed the dead weight.
Right. So that was a good one. That was a few years. Like, and then the Justin Timberlake thing happened. And then after, it felt like they just went like classic rock.
Well, we got
like they played it safe for many years.
We got U2 after 9/11.
Yeah.
We had Paul McCartney one year.
Yeah. Tom Petty. Actually, Tom Petty one was really good.
I forget that one.
I think that was the one right after Justin Timberlake.
Okay. That sounds exactly like what you'd follow that incident with. You follow that up with Tom Petty. And then I think they started to take us a little bit more risk when they went Prince. They were like, all right, let's test the waters with Prince and see what we get here.
Yeah, eventually working their way up to the weekend last year, which I feel I'm still dizzy from.
Yeah, that one was not great. But hey, and now the fact that before the performance, Eminem was like, hey, I'm gonna like kneel down like Colin Kaepernick. The NFL was like, no, you're not. Okay, fine. No, I'm not. And he still does it.
The wink, wink, tap the nose.
Gotcha. Snoop's not going to smoke on stage and I'm not going to kneel down. We got you.
There were some pretty good memes about it. Like, what did you think Eminem was going to say? Oh, golly gee, sirs, no problem. I won't do that if you don't want me to. Like, it's Eminem. It's Dr. Dre. It's Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, these guys, like, yes, they are now millionaires. Yes, they are different than when they started their rap careers. But, like, these guys didn't get where they are and do these things by, like, towing a line.
So I was watching with my wife and Dr. Dre came on and I was like, oh, man, he's looking old. And then Snoop Dogg came on and I was like, oh, he's looking old. And then 50 Cent came on and I was like, oh, 50's looking old. Finally, I was like, this is not a good trend for me.
I think like, that might be old.
I'm starting to feel old.
How long do you think they left 50 Cent hanging upside down for before his performance?
When I first saw him, I was like, oh, 50's put on some LBs. And then he went right side up and everything fell back into place. And I was like, okay, he looks okay.
Yeah. I had that same thought. I was like, oh, yeah, I mean, so have I 50. So have I. I'm not one to judge. But
it was such a good execution. Like, it was such a great idea. I just feel like it would have been better done 20 years ago when he was a young man and could take it a little more. Like, he looked like he was strained.
I mean, yeah. Like I said, like from the beginning of that performance, it was at least like 10 minutes that he was sitting in there just hanging out. That's what I want. I want the behind the scenes documentary of that halftime show. That would be a great one. If they didn't have a camera crew following them around, getting ready, setting it up, if that's not on Netflix by the end of March, I'm going to be very disappointed.
I would watch that so fast.
Yeah. And I want the 50 cam there throughout the entire first half of the performance. I want a picture in picture of just 50 Cent's face and what he's dealing with there. It's going to have to be, because I assumed it was dark where he was. So it's going to have to be like night vision camera, but I want that so bad.
And like you could hear what's happening outside, but you're just focused in on his face while he's waiting. And
he's just like, and there's the mic, right? You got a mic of like him just wheezing because it's like stuffy and he's like, oh my goodness. Turns out 50's afraid of like confined spaces. It was actually, he was having a panic attack the entire time.
Oh man, that's hilarious. I love it. I loved it. I thought it was a great show.
It was a lot of fun. Anyways, you mentioned that we have a lot to get to. We're going to get to it. Just like we expected, US Canada is playing for gold in women's hockey.
Yeah, no real surprise there, right?
Good on Switzerland for making it to the bronze medal game.
And you know what? They played a better game last night than they did in that first game against Canada. They made it a little harder for them.
They scored 3 whole goals.
They did.
Which is that not the most goals that Canada's given up in any game this tournament?
I think so. I can't remember what the score of the US game was.
That's true. I thought that might have been.
My brain's all scrambled. Like last
night.
That's
fair. You're still sleep deprived.
Didn't need to stay up to watch that game, but I did. I was pretty confident it was going to end the way we wanted it to. But I did. And Erin Ambrose scored. It was her 4th goal of the tournament. It was the first goal that I saw her score because all the other ones I fell asleep before she got there.
Well, and amazing, right? 4 goals from her as a defense this tournament. Great.
Yeah, there's a few girls who are having some surprising performances. Not surprising, just better than I thought. Like they're not kind of the superstar names. like someone like Jamie Lynn Rattray has multiple goals in the tournament.
Yeah.
All eyes are on Sarah Fillier.
As they should be.
As they should be. And what a performance as a rookie. So it's good. It's exciting. Wednesday night is the gold medal game.
You finally get to sleep by Thursday. Thursday night, you don't have to stay up anymore.
After Thursday, we don't need to stay up anymore. But Wednesday's going to be like a coffee after work kind of day, because that one we're definitely going to have to stay up till the end of the game. Yeah.
What are you expecting to be different? Because obviously, U.S. has to do something different. They came out very strong in that first game. Canada took advantage of some power play opportunities and managed to win that game. I think that was the real turning point, right? Like you saw they got that power play in the first period, scored on their third shot when the U.S. had already had like 10. So Canada's going to try to shut down the U.S. scoring, but the U.S. has to be able to do a lot more too. So what are you expecting in this game?
Well, from what I've seen over the last probably year between these two teams, the games that the U.S. wins or dominates are the ones where it's just nonstop pressure in the offensive zone. Like when they just don't give up in the O zone, they really keep Canada on their heels to the point where the Canadian women cannot get the puck out of the zone. Any O zone time they get, they're kept out to the outside. And that's what they got to do. They got to keep them out of the middle of the ice. Canada has to stay out of the penalty box, because if they have another game, even like the game last night, they spent way too much time in the penalty box. So if they're going to keep doing that, the U.S. has got to convert on the power play.
Yeah, well, and that's, like you mentioned, that's what we did see a bit in that first game, right? U.S. came out and they just hammered at them. And I think it's tough, right? It's tough when you haven't played super competitive games, right? Yeah. To then jump into that. So I think U.S. is a little better suited from that, but obviously Canada won that game, and so to me they're the favorites going into it. I'm also incredibly biased.
Yeah, obviously, I am as well. But any break that the U.S. gives to the Canadian team, the Canadians are going to capitalize on. That's why they have to be relentless against them. I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting. 4 years ago, we saw the U.S. play a relentless style and steal the gold medal. So,
yeah, it's definitely not a foregone conclusion, not a guarantee. So, got to play. All right, let's start out east with some big news. Two big pieces of news coming out of Montreal this week. The first one was the naming of interim head coach.
Yes.
Martin St. Louis.
This one is the interim one, which I don't think they had gotten rid of Dominique Ducharme the last time we were here recording.
No, they fired. So first piece of news, they fired Dominique Ducharme. The next day announced Martin St. Louis as the new head coach.
In a season like this, I hate hearing when people lose their jobs, but I felt a little bit of relief for Dominique Ducharme. Like just nothing was going his way this year. And they held on to him way longer than they probably should have.
Yeah, I think that they clearly hired him because of his performance last year. It wasn't, they literally won rounds in the playoffs when he was gone because of COVID. Like he was not the reason that they did what they did. They were able to do it behind the, I know it was sure they were using his system, whatever, but like they were able to do things without him last year. And that whole organization bought in way more to that playoff run than they should have.
Absolutely. Now, the Martin St. Louis hire, that one was a bit out of left field, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, because he wasn't even coaching.
Not in the NHL.
No.
Or in the AHL. Or in junior hockey.
Or an assistant coach even.
No. Like he was coaching what? Pee-wee hockey?
Yeah.
Was it his kids team that he was coaching? Or he was just coaching some random Pee-wee team?
I assumed it was his kids' team, but you know what? I'm not up on my Pee Wee hockey knowledge, so it could have been anyone.
Kind of a kind of a weird hire to like reach into the Pee Wee leagues and pull out Martin St. Louis.
Yeah, it does seem weird. Like I get the French side of it, right? Like, hey, he's a big name. He had a great NHL career, and bringing him in as an interim doesn't hurt, right? Like, hey, Martin, we think that you could be good at this. Come in and show us what you can do. And thus far, I'm very unimpressed.
What have they lost? 2 games? 1 game?
2 games. And they played better against Columbus. They were down, like they were getting outshot 21-9 at one point, I think. And managed to, come back and tie the game and ended up not winning that one. But it's tough because I don't think his Pee Wee system is going to translate that well to the NHL.
No, I don't think so either.
I would look if it does, we've got a new pipeline of Pee Wee coaches coming to the NHL.
Speaking from experience, they should not hire out of the Pee Wee leagues.
Judging from some of your coaches you've had?
Yeah. Judging from some of my coaches. Do you think Marty St. Louis walked into the dressing room on his first day and offered to tie guys' skates?
That must have been a real treat for him to not have to tie skates. You can tie your own? This is great. He did probably have to wear a suit though. I'm not sure. Maybe he did in Pee Wee, but
probably not.
The only downside is now he's not the tallest guy in the locker room.
He still has the biggest thighs though, probably. Let's be honest.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's definitely still the case. It's a fine hire. It's an interim coach coming in for a bottom of the league team. What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. That's exactly the point. It's not going to get worse for them.
I can think of several ways that it can, and they're all literal worst case scenarios, and that I don't even want to bother getting into. So
this is like 2 off the board hires for the Habs. It'll be interesting to see how they draft.
Well, because that didn't even cross my mind, but you're right. Because I am curious, like with this decision, how much of it was simply the new GM, whose name is escaping me right now.
Agent guy.
Yes, the new agent GM. How much this was just him, how much the rest of the organization was into it. Maybe that was he was like, look, I really want this guy. Everyone else thinks it's a bad idea. Okay, fine. What if it's just an interim job? Maybe that was his thing. Because it just seems weird to hire out of the organization an interim coach. Like, that's a very rare move.
Yeah, I agree. Especially one with the amount of experience that St. Louis has in coaching.
Yeah. So I don't get it. But there's things that I get and there's things that I don't.
It's a familiar name. It's a splash. It's kind of exciting. He was an exciting player, Stanley Cup winner.
It is a splash, that's for sure. But hey, they were not done there. Montreal stayed busy this week, moving Tyler Toffoli off to the Calgary Flames today.
For quite the haul in return.
So it was a first, a third,
I think it was a first,
a fifth. Emil Heineman, who the Flames got in the Sam Bennett trade from Florida, and Tyler Pitlick. So let's start with the Montreal.
It was a fifth. Sorry, before we move on, it was a fifth. You're right.
Yes, yeah. So let's start with the Montreal side of it. Clearly, no one is off the books for being moved out at this point in time.
No, and that's probably how it should be for them and where they are in their development. But like, they got way more than they should have for Tyler Toffoli, right? Like, is Tyler Toffoli worth a first round pick?
But here's the difference in it, because this year plus 2 more of Tyler Toffoli.
Okay. Tyler Toffoli is a good player. One of the best on the Habs.
Yes.
Where does he fit in on the Flames? Mid six, second, third liner?
I think he slots in on that second line for sure. I think he's going to take the spot that they hoped Blake Coleman could have taken for this team, right? The Coleman's take like a little bit more grit to his game, but he's now sliding as like a third, fourth liner. So I think Toffoli is going to be taking that spot.
Okay, so a first round pick for a second liner for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
It's not terrible.
No, I think it's good, right? Because you have an expiring contract of Sean Monahan coming up. He's going to be gone, right? They're not going to be bringing him back.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got him coming in, Johnny Gaudreau also expiring contracts. You don't know exactly what's going to happen. Sorry, Sean Monahan's not. He has another year, but Johnny Gaudreau's, his contract's up. So it gives them some more certainty moving forward. Not saying that he's going to take that spot, but I mean, if you can put him on that second line with Michael Backlund, I think really good things are going to happen.
It'll be interesting to see what Calgary does about Monahan and Gaudreau.
At the start of this year, I thought Gaudreau was gone, but I also didn't think that Calgary would be second in the Pacific and Johnny Gaudreau would be one of the best players in the NHL right now.
Yeah, but it's been like 2 years of trade rumors and drama swirling around Johnny Gaudreau and the Flames.
Right, it's the exact same as Vladimir Tarasenko, right? And now talk is that he's going to stay in St. Louis, that he's going to re-up and be back there.
Yeah, I guess so.
And Tarasenko literally, like, he even asked for a trade, like publicly was like, I want out. Still there. Now going to stay.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I did not see Calgary having the season that they are having. They're having the season that we said they were going to have 2 years ago.
Well, this was when they signed Jacob Markstrom. This was the year that we thought they would have.
Yeah. They're having it now. Good for them.
And then they had the terror. That was after they'd fired the coach who did the things he shouldn't do.
Yes.
So yeah, it all just, I mean, there's a lot of guys playing above their heads right now. Jacob Markstrom is a very good goalie, but he is destroyed. Like, you look at certain stats and like the fact that he has 8 shutouts right now is incredible.
Ride it. You take it when you get it. With these goalies, you never know if you'll get it again.
Yeah. So, I mean, a good move for the Flames. The prospect that the Habs got, it's very hard to know. 20 years old, unsigned, but former second round pick, very likely. Like, I don't think would become much, probably a depth player at most. But that first could be big.
Yeah. Well, with the draft happening in Montreal.
True.
It's even better. It's good for them to be up on the stage more than once.
True. I mean, if that's how they're making their decisions of let's try to be on the stage as much as possible because we're hosting, that's not ideal.
Well, why not though? The more times you get on the stage, the better. That means you're collecting more players. Well,
as a rebuild team, yes, but it just seems interesting. But they needed to get it back into this round because they lost out on their first pick because that went over to Arizona in the Christian Dvorak trade. So
I forgot about that. So this is now their first round pick.
Yes. So they already had 2 because they had one from Carolina. I'm trying to remember from the Kotkaniemi offer sheet.
Oh yeah. So they've got Calgary's and Carolina's now.
Yeah. So Carolina's is going to go to Arizona because it's first round protected. So, or top 10 protected. So it's going to be,
they'll get their high pick then.
So they'll get the top pick and they'll get a bottom of the first round pick from Calgary.
That's good though. That's what they want. Then they've got 3 third round picks. Like they've got a decent amount of picks this year. That's what they got to be going for. I would think they're going to do the same thing next year.
Yeah, and we'll see. They're not done, right? They got started early because they are going to be busy.
Yeah. When is the trade deadline this year?
End of March, because the season doesn't end till the end of April.
Wow. Okay. 6
Lots
weeks to go.
Lots to come. All right. Let's stick with coaching. We've wrapped up the Montreal news, but coaching was not finished this week because the Edmonton Oilers also fired their head coach, Dave Tippett. Was it a little too late? Was this due?
Yes. This is like classic Ken Holland. Say you're not going to do something, do it anyways, but make it happen way too late.
Well, that's because he said he wasn't going to do it.
This guy. There used to be always jokes on Red Wings Twitter about people being like, if you just pay me to sit in the room and say no to Ken Holland, I would be useful to this organization. And all you have to do is say no. That's what he needs. He needs someone to sit there and say no.
I would hope that there's plenty of people, but clearly not enough.
Or he just doesn't listen to them.
That too. I mean, Dave Tippett was, for a time, right? Like, he was a decent enough coach, but clearly some issues. And we've seen already changes in the system happening with the Oilers' new coach and Jay Woodcroft coming in. And they've been winning games. There's talent in Edmonton. There is no reason that they should be losing games, and they need to be playing in a way that can take advantage of that.
It's got to be so frustrating for some of these players. McDavid, Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl. Like, what is this? McDavid's fourth coach in 6 years? Is that what I saw?
I mean, I believe it's their eighth coach since since the year 2000. Craig McTavish was the last long-term coach of this team. So
Craig McTavish. He's in the KHL now or something. Actually, I'm pretty sure he even got fired from the KHL.
Yikes. I mean, get fired from anywhere, but as a coach.
The Oilers, man, I don't know. I hope we don't have to put them in the elimination station, because I wouldn't know what to do to fix them.
I don't either. So right now the Oilers are sitting, obviously, I mean, they've been passed by the Flames in that division as of late. They're currently 4 points back of the Ducks with 4 games in hand. Ducks are fourth in that division, tied with the Kings, who only have 2 games in hand. 7 points back of the Flames. And that's the wild card difference as well. So they're 4 points back of that wild card. Do you think that the Oilers make the playoffs?
Yes, I do.
I mean, even if they win 2 of those 4 games, right? You win 2 of 4, you have a good situation. You're now tied for a playoff spot, and you have what looks like a better coach in place.
Yes. I still think they're going to make the playoffs. I think that they're lucky that they're playing in a poor division. Because if they were in the Central, I would not be saying that with as much confidence.
I mean, if they were having to catch the likes of, St. Louis, Nashville, Minnesota, and fighting against, they have to pass the Stars anyway, so they're still fighting with the Stars. But
the Stars, who just got destroyed 4-0 last night.
I mean, they were playing a great team. When you described the way that the U.S. women play, where they just hem them in the zone and can't do anything, that was the most smothering game of hockey I have watched in a long time.
Colorado and Dallas.
Dallas was literally, like, it was the third period. And normally you see a team like in the third period where you're up 2 goals, maybe like back off a little bit, dump the puck in. Dallas was the one dumping the puck, because that was the only way that they could get a breath, was just to dump it and hope.
Man, I remember at the start of the season when we were doing our fantasy hockey draft, I thought I would be clever and pick up Sagan and Ben. and just double up on all my points. Let me tell you something about those two players. They suck.
Jamie Benn, not what I believe. He didn't score any yesterday.
No.
After tonight, he is going to be 44 back of us. We were 43 points up on him, and now we got another episode out, and he's not scoring.
He's never going to catch us because he sucks.
I mean, by the time we're done, we'll probably be 60 episodes up on him. Can he score 60 goals in the rest of his career after this season? Is the question.
Not after what I'm seeing this year.
No
way. Like, what is he even at this year? Like, just this season so far?
I'm going to go with 7 goals.
12.
Oh, that's better. Clearly better than I thought.
Seguin has 15 goals. Man, this can't be right. This does not feel right.
Well, you look at that team. We're halfway through the season, and he's sitting at 12 goals, and these are the guys that are supposed to be leading the team.
Yeah. Instead, they got Joe Pavelski. What would this team do without Joe Pavelski? That's wild.
Literally nothing.
Yeah.
It'd be useless. So,
yeah.
All right. Let's take a break here. We're going to be back on the side. There's still more news to come, as well as the elimination station. 3, 2, 1.
Okay, let's talk about somebody who we used to hate, but have more recently been speaking fondly of. But I think after this piece of news, we can put him back in the hate category. What do you think?
It was surprising the way that this season, it was 2 episodes ago that we had genuine good things to say about Brad Marchand and nothing negative to say.
Yeah. That never happens.
And I thought maybe this guy's turning a corner. And it's like he heard us. Like it's like Brad was tuning in and he was like, the fourth line does have nice things to say to me. I've turned soft. I've softened up and I cannot let this happen anymore.
It's got to go heel again.
And he took all of that out on Tristan Jarry.
What a strange play. Like were they losing that game? They were losing that game, weren't they?
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's one of those things like you just know you don't touch the goalie. Just don't touch the goalie. And he had an emotional moment and he took a shot at him. Okay, fine. But then to circle back around and swipe your stick at his head again? What a bonehead. Like, what are you thinking?
And I don't get, so in the end, a 6-game suspension for him. And I know that the NHL has different rules around goalies. And I know that a goalie's helmet is more protective than a player's helmet. But if you did that to any other player on the ice, it is way more than 6 games.
Yes, absolutely.
And so
go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, I was just going to say, like, in addition to that, Brad Marchand is a repeat offender, both like in however the NHL defines it, whatever that time bracket is. But like, he's also been like, this guy's consistently suspended throughout his entire career. Like,
it's almost not a season goes by that this happens. And he literally, like, he had been suspended earlier this season and somehow we'd like forgotten about it and pretended that he was fine.
Yeah. It's just a wild scenario. And what actually kind of surprised me the most about it is that no Penguins like lost their mind over it. Nobody went after him.
Yeah. You would have thought that like he would have been fully removed, but no one stepped up to support the goalie.
It was just weird. Now, Crosby was on the ice and Crosby was the guy who was closest to Marchand. So, okay, fine. I wouldn't expect Crosby to, drop his gloves and rip his helmet off. But it's just weird to me that none of the other 4 guys Well, they all kept their emotions in check, I guess, which is not something you see very often on the ice.
No, and I think the refs did a decent enough job. Clearly, they didn't stop him from doing it in the first place, but because it was just one idiot on the ice.
Yeah.
But the fact is that even him now, right? Like, you look dumb, and he even said that, right?
Yeah.
He said, like, it was stupid of me. But the fact that now he's going out and saying it shouldn't be a 6-game suspension. Do you look at your body of work and, like you said, Nick, repeat offender, you're going to get a larger suspension, appealing it so that he can lessen it? Like, if I'm the arbiter, I'm increasing that. I'm like, you're wasting my time right now with this stupid appeal. Stop it.
Isn't the arbiter Gary Bettman first?
Which I'm sure Gary has no love lost for Brad.
What a silly appeal process, hey? Your first appeal is to the commissioner of the NHL because that guy's unbiased.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is Gary Bettman going to do? Go against his Department of Player Safety?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they made the wrong call here. I'll overrule them. So by the time this whole appeal process is over, like, he'll be back playing hockey because the suspension will have been served.
Exactly. You wait long enough. That's the classic. You wait until the last game and you're like, okay, fine, you can come back one early.
Yeah. But I don't think it should be reduced.
No, it shouldn't be. But you know what? You know who is going to be back? Shorter. Before Brad Marchand is back, we have the return of the one and only Jack Eichel.
And this is a highly anticipated one. I've been very excited about this over the last few weeks because if you're following the whole story, it's like, oh, he's back on skates. He's in a non-contact jersey. He's in a contact jersey. So it's getting closer and closer. And I'm going, this is going to get juicy because Vegas is way over the cap with Eichel on their roster. So they're going to have to make a move. So I'm getting antsy for a trade here.
The move is that Mark Stone went on long-term IR today.
Womp, womp.
That's much less exciting than a big trade.
Like, come on, guys. What is his injury? Did they even say what his injury is?
What Stone's injury is? I don't know exactly what it is, no.
Because he was fine last weekend to play in the All-Star game.
Very true.
Now all of a sudden he needs to go on LTIR.
But he's been on and off, like, injured all season. So it doesn't surprise me, like maintenance, right? This is clearly, like, I'm not going to speak here for Stone, but it would not surprise me in the slightest if there was a playoff game tomorrow, Mark Stone is suiting up and playing. But they're fully using the Tampa strategy from last year, where we're just going to leave this guy on until we can need him and then put someone else on, and they'll all be back for the playoffs and put that line together.
That's exactly what's happening. I just love how transparent it's become. They don't even try to hide it anymore. I mean, they're not breaking any rules.
No, Mark Stone has been hurt. They have a reason, and now he's there. So yeah, but Wednesday night, 2 days from now, we will very likely have the season and Vegas debut of Jack Eichel.
Okay, we'll have to remember that and circle back because that's going to be our must-watch game.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
for
put him
Wednesday.
It's looking like him and Pacioretty are going to be teamed up. According to Daily Faceoff right now, they've got Dadonov on that wing. Place Dadonov with Mark Stone come playoff time, and watch out.
Well, do you know who they're playing against on Wednesday?
Is it the Kraken?
It's the Colorado Avalanche.
Oh my goodness, Nick.
So it's going to be a real good game.
I know what I'm doing on Wednesday night.
But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here in terms of our segments. Jack Eichel hasn't played hockey in a very long time. I
mean, it's not that long. It's been, what, April? When did the playoffs start last year?
I don't know.
Look at me either. It's been since the regular season ended last year.
Yeah, and then he had a major surgery on his vertebrae.
Yeah.
Spinal cord. I think it'll take him a couple games to get into it.
Oh, I don't think he'll be at peak Jack Eichel, but I mean, I think back to now. I'm not going to say. Do you remember like that game when Sidney Crosby came back and he played against the New York Islanders?
No.
And okay, well, apparently it's burned in my memory because he like came out and scored like 30 seconds into the game. I think he had like 2 goals and an assist or something like that in his first game back from a big injury. That would not surprise me in the slightest. New environment, best line, best. I mean, Max Pacioretty is the best teammate he will have ever played with.
Yeah, easily.
So
says a lot about those Buffalo teams.
I'm excited to see what he can do. I mean, I'm more excited to see him do it against not the Avalanche, but
I think he'll score a goal on his first shift, and then he'll go dark for like 2 or 3 games. That's my prediction. Yeah, right. That's my prediction.
Well, you heard it.
First period.
Okay. So all of a sudden, it's by this time he might take a shift. He might have a shot. In the first 2 periods by the time we're done this show. So who knows?
It just dawned on me that shifts in the NHL last like 30 seconds. It's not like beer league where you're heaving all the way up and down the ice for 2 minutes.
I mean, my beer league shifts last 30 seconds. I don't know about yours.
At the start of the game, they do. But then towards the end of the game, they get longer because it takes so much longer to get back to the bench.
Well, especially, I mean, that second period, I get stuck on the opposite wing. So I'm never changing. I'm just over there and I can never get across to change.
And then the goalie gets the puck and you yell, hold it, but he's already let it go.
Yeah. Like, all right, fine. That's when I'm changing when my team's got the puck in the offensive zone. That's what we're doing right now.
I think Jack Eichel will have an easier time getting off the ice than you and I in the second period of beer league.
Look, it has been a while since Jack Eichel has played hockey, but he is definitely better conditioned. And he had major neck surgery, and he is still better conditioned than I am. And it's not close.
Yeah, not even a little close.
I probably eat as much yesterday as Jack Eichel did calorie-wise, except he trained a bunch. So, and I sat on the couch. Actually, I know we've still got elimination station to do, but I need to share this. So, I mean, we had some people over. We watched the game. They were bringing some snacks. I made chili, but we're sitting there and like I've got the Avalanche game on. I'm just enjoying them stomping the Stars, and I just messaged a friend, and literally all it took for me was he used the phrase "hot dog." That looks good. To which I said, "Oh, I could go for a hot dog." 30 minutes later, pigs in blankets in the oven, and I was ready to go. That's all it took for me to all of a sudden just like impromptu be like, you know what, it's Super Bowl Sunday. If I want some pigs in blankets, I'm going to go do it. And I have no regrets.
Nor should you. I mean, I don't think Jack Eichel just on a whim threw a bunch of hot dogs in the oven, but you do you, Carl. You're not a professional hockey player.
No. I'm more like professional food maker than professional hockey player.
Absolutely.
All right. You mentioned it. We need to head to the elimination station.
Elimination station.
This is the segment where we eliminate a team from the playoffs. We go through and we then decide how we fix this team to get them back into the playoffs. Last week, we, with consensus, back-to-back consensi, is that the multiple of consensus?
No, I don't think so.
Interesting. Anyways, we eliminated the Chicago Blackhawks. Previously, we have eliminated Montreal Canadiens, Arizona Coyotes, Seattle Kraken, Philadelphia Flyers. Is that correct? Am I missing any teams?
That is correct.
And I appreciate you took, pardon the pun, you took the flyer on Philadelphia, and they have only played worse since you made the case to eliminate them.
They lost 2 games to the Detroit Red Wings this week, and they lost them by pretty high scores.
And look,
not good.
Here's the thing so remember I listed off all those stats about the Oilers getting into the playoffs?
Yeah.
The Red Wings are 1 point back of the Oilers.
Yeah, I know.
They're a sneaky little team. I mean, they're not going to make the playoffs, but
no, it would take a lot for them to make the playoffs. But in the Eastern Conference, they're the first team outside of the wild card position.
Yeah, so which points out that there's not going to be a playoff fight. Like the 8 teams currently in the playoffs in the East are the 8 teams making the playoffs.
Yeah,
in the East.
There's not going to be a lot of drama there.
No. All right. Nonetheless, it's time. So I guess that makes my decision easy. I think I'm heading to the Eastern Conference to eliminate a team this week.
That's where I was looking.
So we need to do the thing where we say the name of the team.
We're gonna do it on 3.
1, 2, 3, and say it.
Yeah, that's how we always do it. 1, 2, 3. Buffalo Sabres.
I think at this point in time, people just need to assume that we're going to say the same team.
We're just in sync right now. Yeah. Hey, they should invite us to play the Super Bowl halftime.
With Aerosmith and Britney Spears and
Bring
Nelly?
them back. Bring them all back. Well, I don't know about Nelly. What is Nelly doing these days?
I can confirm to you that 2 years ago, back when I was still living downtown, it was Stampede. And they had like the big concert tent set up all outside Stampede grounds. I lived like right across from there. And so I walked out one day and stood on a bus bench and watched a Nelly concert, and it was still great. It was spectacular.
Did he sing Ride With Me?
Yes, he sang all the hits. He doesn't have the new stuff. We're all there for the old stuff, and he delivered.
That's a great song. Does he still wear the Band-Aid?
That I was too far away to be able to tell if there was a Band-Aid, but
the Band-Aid was hilarious. Anyways, let's put a Band-Aid on the Buffalo Sabres.
Hey, I think a fitting choice with Jack Eichel making his return.
Yeah, I think so.
And so I want to start there because the return that they got, right? The main piece that they got was Alex Tuck, who has, aside from Johnny Gaudreau, has been one of the hottest players in the NHL in the last stretch. Alex Tuck clearly showing that in spite of everything else provided for him, can still play.
17 points in 15 games, 6 goals. It's looking good. And he's been very enthusiastic since the trade about playing in Buffalo, which I think can only be a good thing for the Sabres.
I mean, it's definitely the opposite of Jack Eichel.
Right. So this is a guy that you keep around, you hold on to.
Okay, he's not going anywhere.
No. So that's that worked out for them. They also picked up another first round pick from Vegas for this year,
which is a great. So they've got that pick. They have also Florida's pick this year. They got that in the Sam Reinhart trade,
and they've got their own. And so they're picking 3 times in the first round.
Which are, I mean, they're going to be 2 of those are going to be very low, right? Like they're literally going to pick like 31st, 32nd, 30th, 31st, when Colorado beats Vegas in the conference finals, and then when Colorado beats Florida again in the Stanley Cup final. That's what's going to happen there. So then they'll pick like 5th in the second round. They've got 3 picks and probably like 7, 10 picks at the bottom of that first and top of the second. So for them, they've got, I like that. I like having that certainty where like, you don't have to take a jump on a guy. You can take best available and then wait for the guy you want.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're in a great spot when it comes to drafting and collecting assets. It wouldn't surprise me if they somehow picked up another first round pick for next year as well.
Yeah, I could see that too. But so also on top of that, because this is a continuous rebuild, and it begs the question of where they're at in this. Like, what is it that Buffalo is needing? Because even this year, right, Jeff Skinner has not lived up to his contract, but he has not embarrassed himself this year, right? 20 goals so far. Pretty good for him.
Well, hold on. He scored 4 of those goals like yesterday.
Okay, so 16 goals for him, but still, that's pretty good.
Better than where he's been recently.
Yes. And them giving, right? They've got Dylan Cousins, Peyton Krebs are getting great reps, right? Peyton Krebs also in that Jack Eichel trade. So they've got them, not, I wouldn't say performing, but certainly getting time and getting work in and improving.
What about Rasmus Dahlin?
You mean All-Star Rasmus Dahlin?
Yeah.
I think that he is going to be what this team needs. He is not going to be a outstanding offensive defenseman, right? Which is what people get excited about, right? Like everyone loves themselves some Cale Makar because he does flashy things. But I think as time comes, he will work himself into being the solid defender that they need him to be.
Just taking a little time to get there.
Yeah, it's a roller coaster. I mean, he's dealt with in the same way that Edmonton has, right? He's dealt with multiple coaches. He's dealt with, different systems. He's dealt with COVID. He's dealt with so many different things, making this a difficult transition for him. And I think he'll turn it around.
Well, he's also he's not had the luxury of being sheltered at any point in his career, right? True. They have not had another top pairing defenseman that they could put him behind to help him shoulder some of those, the big guys on the opposition and the big minutes.
And I think if he's able to, and I think this is where the team knows the situation at hand, if he's able to, mentally and emotionally handle that, of getting worked night in, night out by the best players in the league, especially in that division, right? Like you play the Leafs and you're up against Matthews, and then you go and you're up against, Dylan Larkin, you're up against Stamkos and Kucherov and Point, and you're up against
Barkov,
and you're up against Huberdeau, and like you've got all of those guys night in and night out that you are trying to shut down, and you are failing night in and night out. It's tough.
Yeah. So what are we saying about this team? They're in a good spot. Be patient. Wait it out.
They're set up to be in a good spot. They're not there yet.
They need a couple of these young guys to pay off a little bit.
They need someone in net.
There it is. That's the big one to me. They need a goalie.
The fact that Craig Anderson and Dustin Tokarski are there currently rostered. Did you even know that Dustin Tokarski was still playing hockey? I thought he was Martin St. Louis' assistant coach in Pee Wee.
Seriously. And actually, Dustin Tokarski is way younger than I thought he would be.
Yeah, I assumed he was 37, 38.
Yeah, that was the exact age I had in my head. He must be 37 years old. He's 32.
Yeah.
Craig Anderson is exactly how old as I thought he would be.
You know what? He's even a little bit younger than I thought he was. But so this is a team if they can find some goaltending, and I mean they did. The name is slipping my mind right now, but I do know they did draft some goaltending last year.
Is it didn't they draft that Finnish goalie with the crazy name?
Pekka.
Yeah.
So they've got him. I mean, he's 22. I would not consider him a prospect, really. He might still come up, but he's not. I mean, a 22-year-old goalie who hasn't really made the jump isn't what I'm getting excited about. So they need some support there. And with all these picks, it's easy for them to take some flyers on goalies, because goalies, like we saw last year, right? Goalies slip in this draft significantly sometimes because there's just teams that don't need or don't want to spend a high pick on a goalie. And I get that, but they can take that chance.
I'm too impatient for this team to find your goaltending through the draft. And I think that at some point in the next year or two, their roster is going to be at a point where they can't wait for a goalie to come up through the NCAA and then the juniors and then make the team. I think that they're going to have to make a move for a goalie.
And if we're looking free agent wise, right, that becomes a difficult task.
Yes, it does.
Right? Free agent goaltenders are expensive, can be expensive, but also can be disappointing. I think case in point, right? You look at Florida, first shot at it, not that great. Now that we've come around to it, though, Borowski's been good.
Yeah, and like goalies are voodoo, so there's always that aspect of luck when you're dealing with them. But the Sabres also have some pretty good draft capital in the next few years that they can play around with. I'd be okay with moving Philadelphia's second round pick in 2023 to bring in a goalie.
Yeah.
It would be a high, it's a high second round pick.
Are there any teams right now though that are looking to move a goalie in the kind of situation that Buffalo's in?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the tough part. That's kind of where the luck comes in, is the timing has to be right.
No, we've seen Washington does this all the time, right? They did it with Holtby and Varlamov. They did it with Holtby and Grubauer. They did it with there's another one in there that slipped my mind, but they have Ilya Samsonov and Vitek Vanacek. Both of their deals are up this year. Both of them are RFAs. That could be a situation where I could see Buffalo going after one of those pretty good, pretty young goalies. One of them could be on the way out. Gorgiev in New York also deal up, but then like a number of good, like decent UFAs, right? Jack Campbell. I think the Leafs want to bring him back, but they also don't have a ton of cap space to bring him back long term. And if Buffalo wants to take that shot at him, they could sign him to a $3-4 million or year deal with a decent enough cap hit that they can afford it.
Yeah, there's opportunity there. I just think they're going to have to figure their goaltending out sooner than let's pick a guy high in the draft and hope he pans out in 3 to 4 years. They're past that point, in my opinion.
I think you're right. I think that's a good point. Sign a guy and hope that in the meantime, something pans out.
Yeah.
No, really good point. All right. It is time where we head to the Pavel Bure must-watch games of the week, where we pick the games that you need to tune into every night of the week. With those games, you head over to our Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast with the number 4, and you tell us what you think the score is going to be every night of the week. If you're right, you get points. Points lead to prizes. At the end of this, for the leader in the standings, we're handing out a jersey. For everyone else, there's a chance for you to win some sweet swag. And we're actually going to reset the table at the end of this month, hand out a jersey, hand out some prizes, and then switch it up, clear the scoreboard, and start over again for the end of the season. Actually, we probably should, if the season ends in April, maybe even sooner than that, maybe like halfway through March, we should reset the table.
Sooner the better. I like giving prizes away.
Me too. So maybe let's confirm it right now, because we're halfway through February. Let's say the March 14th episode. Apparently, Newfoundland St. Patrick's Day. I don't know why I don't know why Newfoundland gets a different St. Patrick's Day than the rest of us, but they do. March 14th, we're doing the thing. That's where we're going to hand out a prize. So you got 4 more weeks to get points. Let's head to the schedule. What are you looking at on Tuesday night?
Tuesday night, the day after Valentine's Day. What have we got? What about... No, we're not going to do that. What about Washington, Nashville?
That's good. Let's look in there. Boston, New York Rangers is another good one.
Yeah. But there's no
Wednesday.
Brad Marchand.
No Brad Marchand. Wednesday night, you already made the pick. It is Vegas and Colorado.
Yes. Done.
Why don't we talked about them chasing? Why do we go Ducks Oilers on Thursday?
Yeah, I like it.
That's the team they're fighting against.
It's a good
They can't
divisional
win it.
matchup. Yeah.
This is the time of the year where we're picking those because we got some good ones. Thursday. I see there's one that stands out to me. What do you think?
Florida, Minnesota.
You bet.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
We can avoid Colorado Buffalo that same night. It's an interesting Blues Leafs is a weird one.
It is a weird one, and I think it's probably the best matchup.
Yeah, it'll probably be that one of those games that ends in overtime because neither team wants to try in the last period.
Yeah,
and especially since that's a hockey night in Canada matchup. The rare St. Louis Blues in the early hockey night in Canada game.
Yeah, in the marquee Saturday night game. Let's do it.
All right, Saturday.
That was Saturday.
Sunday, sorry. Sunday, first and second in the Metro are playing that day. Early.
Done.
Penguins, Hurricanes.
Yeah.
And then Monday, a holiday in several places around the world. And I know that because there are 3 games in the afternoon and morning.
So true.
Anything stand out that you're thinking?
What about Winnipeg, Calgary?
Winnipeg, Calgary looks good to me, right? I mean, they have some good physical matchups. So
yeah.
And that one is an early game. That is 2 p.m. So get your picks in early. You don't need to get them in often. You just need to get them in once. Often would actually be more confusing and probably frustrate me, and you might just get 0 points. But that's it. So with those games, head over to our Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast. Every day, we'll ask the question, what do you think the score is going to be of this game? You tell us, you get it right, you get points. You get to brag to all your friends that you're smarter than everyone else on the internet. So head over there, thefourthlinepodcast.com for more information about the show. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Full Press Radio, Full Press NHL. Great content over there. We are there as well. Thank you for tuning in. Until next week.
I'm going to take us a little bit differently tonight. And this one's dedicated to you, Carl. If you want to come and take a ride with me, watch Jack Eichel play some more hockey. How did they make this work? Hey, they cheat with their money.